Admiral Park Woo-jin stood on the bridge of his flagship, watching the stars through the great window. His hands were behind his back, and his face showed worry. Something felt wrong about the message they got from the Galactic Council yesterday. The message was simple. All human ships needed to go to Council shipyards for upgrades. Better weapons, they said. Better shields, better everything. It would help human ships work with Council fleets. Park had been in space for 20 years. He knew when something smelled bad. "Sir," said Captain Lee Dong-ho, walking up to him. Lee was young but smart. He commanded one of their best ships. "The crew is asking questions about these upgrades." Park turned to look at him. "What kind of questions?" "They want to know why we need to upgrade. Our ships work fine. We just won 3 battles against the pirates last month." Lee's voice was careful. He trusted Park, but the walls had ears in space. Before Park could answer, Dr. Kim Na-ri walked onto the bridge. She was the smartest person Park knew about alien things. She studied other species and how they thought. Her face looked troubled. "Admiral, I need to talk to you," she said. Her voice was quiet but urgent. Park nodded. "My office, both of you." They walked to Park's private office behind the bridge. He closed the door and turned on the sound blocker. Now no one could hear them talk. "What's wrong, Doctor?" Park asked. Kim sat down heavily. She looked tired. "I've been studying the Council's recent decisions. Something is very strange." She pulled out her datapad and showed them a list. "In the last 50 years, 12 species have gotten these same upgrades. The Council said it would make their ships better." "And?" Lee asked. 3 years after each upgrade, something bad happened to those species. Their fleets stopped working. Right during battles, pirates attacked them. Some species lost their homeworlds. Others became slaves to the Council." Park felt cold inside. "You think the upgrades are not really upgrades?" "I think they are traps," Kim said. "I looked at the technical papers. The math doesn't make sense. These upgrades should make ships weaker, not stronger." Lee leaned forward. "But why would the Council do that? We help them. We give them resources. We fight their enemies." Kim looked at both men. "Because we're getting too strong. Human technology grows fast. We learn quick. We don't follow orders without asking questions. That scares them." Park walked to his window and looked out at the human fleet. 200 ships floated in space around them. Each one had humans inside who trusted him to keep them safe. "Do we have proof?" "Not yet," Kim said. "But I have friends in other species. Quiet friends who don't like the Council much. They might help us learn more." The door chimed. Park's aide came in. "Sir, Ambassador Yang Subin is calling from the Council station. She says it's important." Park nodded. "Put her through." Yang's face appeared on the screen. She looked calm, but Park knew her well. Her eyes showed fear. "Admiral, the Council wants to start the upgrades next week. They want to take 50 ships first, for safety, they said." "Which 50 ships?" Park asked. "Our newest ones. The ones with the best weapons." Park and Lee looked at each other. That confirmed their fears. "Tell them we need 2 weeks to prepare," Park said. "Our crews need to transfer personal items. Standard procedure." Yang nodded. She understood. "I'll tell them. But Admiral, they're not happy about delays. Counselor Veltar himself called me. He seemed angry that we're not more grateful." After Yang signed off, the 3 humans sat in silence. "We need a plan," Park said finally. "What kind of plan?" Lee asked. "The kind that keeps us alive," Park said. "And free." Kim leaned forward. "I have an idea. What if we pretend to go along with the upgrades, but we secretly prepare for the worst?" "How?" Lee asked. "We need to study their upgrade process, find out exactly what they're doing to our ships. Then we figure out how to fix it without them knowing." Park nodded slowly. "That's dangerous if they catch us. If we don't try, we'll end up like those 12 other species," Kim said. The next day, Park called a secret meeting with his best officers. He told them only that they needed to be careful about the upgrades. He didn't want to cause panic, but he wanted them ready. Captain Oh Seung-woo commanded their scout ships. He was quiet and careful, perfect for secret work. "I want you to watch the Council's movements," Park told him. "Use your smallest, fastest ships. Stay hidden. If they're planning something bad, we need to know." Major Han Ji-won led their special soldiers. She was tough and smart. "Get your teams ready for anything," Park told her. "But be quiet about it. Normal training, but more of it." Engineer Yoon Hee-jin took care of their ship systems. She knew how every bolt and wire worked. "Study these upgrade plans," Park gave her the technical papers. "Tell me what they really do." 3 days later, Yoon came back with bad news. "Admiral, these upgrades are poison," she said. "They put control chips in our main computers. Someone could turn off our weapons from far away, or our shields, or everything. Can you remove the chips after they install them?" Park asked. "Maybe, but it would be very hard and dangerous. If I make a mistake, the ship could blow up." That night, Park couldn't sleep. He walked through his ship, looking at his crew. Young. Men and women from Earth and the colonies. They trusted him. They believed the Council wanted to help humanity. He thought about Earth, so far away. His wife and children lived there. If the Council's plan worked, Earth might become a slave world. Humans might become servants to alien masters. The next morning, Kim came to see him again. "I talked to my friends," she said. "The Zilani species got these upgrades 5 years ago. My friend there says their best ships stopped working during a battle with rebels. The Council had to save them. After that, the Council took control of Zilani military bases. For protection, they said." "Where are the Zilani now?" Park asked. "Still alive. But they can't make big decisions without Council permission. Their best planets are run by Council governors. They pay huge taxes to the Council." Park felt anger growing in his chest. "They want to do that to us." "Yes," Kim said. "But we have advantages the other species didn't have." "What advantages?" "We're stubborn, we don't trust easily, and we're good at pretending." That afternoon, Park made his decision. He called his senior officers to another secret meeting. "We're going to play their game," he said, "but by our rules." He told them the plan. They would send 50 ships for upgrades, as requested. But these would be their oldest ships, not their newest ones. They would hide their best ships at secret bases. They would let the Council think their plan was working. "What about our crews?" Lee asked. "The ones on the ships getting upgraded?" "They'll know the truth," Park said. "But they'll have to act, scared and confused, like the upgrades are hurting our ships by accident." "Can our people do that?" Major Han asked. Park smiled for the first time in days. "We're human. We can do anything." 2 weeks later, Ambassador Yang called with another message. "The Council is getting impatient," she said. "They want the ships now." "Tell them we're coming," Park said. As he watched 50 of his ships fly toward the Council shipyards, Park felt like he was sending his children into danger. But it was the only way to save them all. The trap was being set. But this time, humans would decide who got caught. Counselor Veltar stood in his command center, watching reports flow in from across the galaxy. His reptilian eyes gleamed with satisfaction. The human trap was working perfectly. "Status report," he ordered his aide. "Sir, 60% of human military vessels have received upgrades. Their combat effectiveness has dropped by 40% just as planned. Their commanders report increasing system failures." Veltar's mouth curved in what humans might mistake for a smile, but was actually a threat display. "Excellent. And the demonstration? All species representatives have agreed to attend the Galactic Unity exercise. They will see humanity's weakness firsthand. Many are already requesting upgrade schedules for their own fleets." This was exactly what Veltar wanted. For 300 years, he had helped the Council maintain control through careful manipulation. Species that grew too strong or too independent received helpful upgrades. Within years, they became dependent clients of the Council. Humans were just the latest problem to solve. But Captain Oh Seung-woo was watching Veltar's preparations from the shadows. His scout ships had been mapping Council fleet movements for weeks. What he found made his blood run cold. The Council wasn't just preparing for a demonstration. They were preparing for war. O's fastest ship, the Silent Wind, floated invisible in an asteroid field near the Council's main military base. His sensors recorded everything: ship types, weapon loads, crew transfers. The numbers were frightening. "Captain," his sensor officer whispered, "I count over 8,000 Council ships in this system alone." "What types?" O asked. "Everything, sir. Battleships, destroyers, carriers, assault transports. This isn't a training fleet. This is an invasion force." O felt sick. The Council had assembled the largest military force he had ever seen. Even if every human ship worked perfectly, they would be outnumbered 10-1. He sent an encrypted message to Admiral Park. "The mouse is bigger than we thought. Much bigger." Meanwhile, Major Han Ji-won was conducting her own secret mission. Her special forces teams had infiltrated 3 Council forward bases disguised as repair stations. What they found confirmed everyone's worst fears. "Admiral," she reported through secure communications, "these aren't repair facilities. They're staging areas. I see landing craft, ground assault vehicles, occupation equipment. They're planning to invade our colonies." Han's team had planted listening devices throughout the bases. The conversations they recorded were terrifying. Council officers talked casually about dividing human space between different species. They discussed which humans would make good workers and which were too dangerous to keep alive. They planned to move Council families to the best human worlds after the conquest. "How long do we have?" Park asked. "Based on their supply schedules, I'd say 6 weeks, maybe less." Park felt the walls closing in. The Council's timeline was moving faster than expected. The Galactic Unity exercise was supposed to be in 3 months, but they were preparing to strike much sooner. He called an emergency meeting of his senior staff. "The situation has changed," he told them. "The Council isn't waiting for the demonstration. They're going to attack us directly." Dr. Kim Nari looked pale. "But why?" "Their trap was working. We were getting weaker." Commander Choi had the answer. "Because other species are getting suspicious. My sources say the Althari Federation is asking too many questions about the upgrade program. The Council needs a quick victory to scare everyone else into line." "How many of our ships have been fixed?" Park asked Engineer Yoon. 47 ships have Yoon's hidden systems installed," she reported. "But we have 300 ships total. Most are still poisoned." "Can we speed up the process?" "Not without the Council noticing. We need the ships at their bases for cover." Park made a hard decision. "Then we fight with what we have. 47 clean ships plus whatever poisoned ones we can jury-rig." "Against 8,000 Council ships?" Colonel Kang asked. "We don't have a choice." That night, Park sent a coded message to every human ship commander. "Exercise Dragon begins in 72 hours. All ships return to designated positions." Exercise Dragon was their emergency plan. If the Council attacked before they were ready, human ships would scatter to hidden bases throughout their space. They would fight a guerrilla war, hitting Council supply lines and retreating before the enemy could respond. But as Park prepared his desperate plan, Engineer Yoon was working on something that might change everything. She had been studying the Council's control systems for weeks. The poison chips in human ships could receive commands from Council transmitters. But what if she could turn that connection around? "Dr. Kim," she called excitedly, "come look at this." Kim hurried over to Yoon's workstation. On the screen was a diagram of the Council's command network. Lines connected every Council ship to central control stations. "I think I can hack their network," Yoon said. "The same signals that control our poisoned ships could carry a virus back to their systems." Kim's eyes widened. "You mean turn their own weapons against them?" "Exactly. But it's very risky. I'd have to use our poisoned ships as transmitters. The crews would be in extreme danger." Kim thought quickly. "What kind of virus?" "Something that makes their ships think they're under attack by each other. Their own safety systems would shut down weapons and engines to prevent friendly fire." It was brilliant but dangerous. If the virus didn't work, the human ships carrying it would be defenseless. Ambassador Yang Subin unknowingly gave them the Perfect opportunity, she called with news from the council station. Admiral, the council has moved up the demonstration. They want to show humanity's weakness to the galaxy in 2 weeks, not 3 months. Why the rush? Park asked, though he already knew. They say other species are eager to see the new upgrade technology in action. Counselor Veltar himself will attend to explain the benefits. Park saw the trap within the trap. The council wanted all the galaxy's leaders watching when they destroyed the human fleet. It would be the ultimate demonstration of council power. Tell them we're honored by their attention, Park said. We'll be ready. When Yang signed off, Park called his officers together one last time. They've moved up their schedule, so we move up ours. We have 2 weeks to prepare for the fight of our lives. Captain Lee Dong-ho raised his hand. Admiral, what about our families? What about Earth? Park's face was grim. If we lose, there won't be a free Earth to protect. We have to win here, or humanity becomes slaves forever. The next 2 weeks passed, in a blur of secret preparations. Captain O's scouts mapped every council ship position. Major Han's teams prepared sabotage operations on council bases. Dr. Kim worked with alien resistance contacts to coordinate uprisings on occupied worlds. Engineer Yoon perfected her virus and trained volunteers to carry it into battle. These brave crews knew they might not survive, but they also knew their sacrifice could save humanity. 3 days before the demonstration, the council sprung their real trap. Ambassador Yang called with panic in her voice. Admiral, council fleets are moving. Veltar says it's just positioning for the demonstration, but there are ships heading toward our colonies. Captain O confirmed Yang's report. Sir, I count 1,500 ships breaking off from the main force. They're moving toward New Seoul, New Busan, and New Daegu. The council wasn't waiting for the demonstration. They were launching a surprise attack on human colonies while the main fleet was distracted by the fake exercise. It's a double trap, Commander Choi realized. They destroy our colonies while our fleet is stuck at the demonstration. Then they attack our fleet while we're in shock. Park felt admiration for the council's strategy, even as it filled him with rage. They had planned every detail to crush human resistance completely, but humans had plans too. Signal all ships, Park ordered. Execute Operation Sejong immediately. Operation Sejong was named after the ancient Korean king who created the Korean alphabet. Just as King Sejong had freed his people from dependence on Chinese writing, Operation Sejong would free humanity from council control. The plan was complex and dangerous. Park's cleanest ships would race to defend the colonies while his poisoned ships attended the demonstration. At the right moment, they would activate Yoon's virus and turn the council's own network against them. But first, they had to survive, long enough to spring the trap. As human ships began moving to their battle positions, Park stood on his bridge one last time as a free admiral. In 48 hours, humanity would either be free or enslaved. All ships report ready, sir, Captain Lee announced. Park nodded. Then let's show the galaxy what humans are really made of. The demonstration was supposed to prove human weakness. Instead, it would become the day the galaxy learned that humanity would never bow to anyone. The final trap was set. Soon the council would discover that the prey they thought they were hunting had teeth of its own. President Moon Hae-sung stood before the United Earth Assembly, looking out at representatives from every human world and colony. 3 months had passed since the Great Victory, and the galaxy was still changing. Today, she would announce humanity's next steps. My fellow humans, she began, we have won a great victory. But victory brings responsibility. The question now is, what kind of galaxy do we want to build? The assembly was quiet. Everyone knew this moment would shape human history for generations to come. Some say we should rule the galaxy as the council did. Use our strength to force peace. Make other species serve us as payment for their freedom. Moon paused, letting the idea settle. I reject this path. We did not fight to become new oppressors. We fought to end oppression forever. Across the galaxy, similar conversations were happening on hundreds of worlds. Species that had been enslaved by the council for centuries were tasting freedom for The first time, some wanted revenge, others wanted to hide. A few were ready to build something better. General Park So-young commanded the Galactic Liberation Forces, a combined fleet of human ships and vessels from 17 species that had joined the rebellion. Her headquarters was on a massive space station that had once been a council prison. Now it was the center of operations for freeing the galaxy. Status report, she ordered her mixed staff of human and alien officers. Commander Choi Min-seok, now head of intelligence for the Liberation Forces, spoke first. Ma'am, we've successfully removed council sabotage from ships in 47 star systems. Dr. Kim's teams are working around the clock, but there are still hundreds of systems that need help. Dr. Kim Nari had become the galaxy's leading expert on council sabotage technology. Her teams traveled from world to world, teaching local engineers how to remove the hidden controls from their ships and computers. It was slow work, but necessary. What about resistance? General Park asked. The council hardliners have retreated to 12 fortress worlds in the galactic core, reported Major Han Ji-won. Councillor Veltar is still calling for other species to fight the human invasion. Invasion? General Park almost laughed. We're giving them their freedom. He's having trouble finding supporters, Han continued. Most species are too busy, celebrating their liberation to listen to his calls for war. The truth was that Veltar's support was crumbling every day. Species after species was discovering the full extent of council crimes. Hidden records showed centuries of manipulation, sabotage, and slavery. The anger was building, and it was directed at the council, not at humanity. Ambassador Kim Woo-sung was working to channel that anger into something constructive. He had been chosen to lead the negotiations for a new galactic government. The WO meetings were held on neutral space stations with representatives from over 200 species. The challenge, he explained to President Moon during one of their regular calls, is that everyone wants justice, but they all have different ideas about what justice looks like. What do you recommend? Moon asked. We propose a federation model, equal representation for all species regardless of size or military power, decisions made by consensus when possible, majority vote when necessary, and most importantly, no single species can control more than 10% of the military forces. It was a radical idea. For thousands of years, the galaxy had been ruled by the strongest species. The Council had maintained control through military superiority and economic manipulation. Kim's proposal would make such control impossible. What about enforcement? Moon asked. What if a species breaks the rules? That's where the Liberation Fleet comes in. General Park's forces would become the Federation military. Their job would be to protect member species from each other and from outside threats. Meanwhile, engineer Yoon Hee-jin was working on a different kind of protection. She had established the Galactic Technical Institute, where engineers from every species could learn to build and maintain their own technology without depending on others. The Council controlled species by making them dependent, she explained to a class of mixed alien and human students. They gave you technology but kept the knowledge of how it worked. We're changing that. Her students came from dozens of different species. Some had never seen human technology before the liberation. Others had been secretly studying human engineering for years, hoping for a chance like this. Today, you'll learn how to build a quantum communication system, Yoon continued. By next week, you'll know enough to teach others on your homeworlds. Knowledge shared is freedom secured. Captain Oh Sung-woo had a different mission. His scout ships were exploring the unknown regions beyond Council space, looking for species that might need liberation or allies that could help build the new Federation. What he found was disturbing. The Council hadn't been the only oppressive power in the galaxy. There were other empires, other tyrants, other species that ruled through fear and force. Admiral, he reported to Fleet Admiral Lim during one of their strategy meetings, we've found 3 major threats beyond former Council space: the hegemony in the galactic east, the Dominion in the south, and something called the Collective in the unexplored regions. Lim studied the star charts O had brought back. Are they aware of what happened to the Council? Yes, sir. and they're preparing for war. They see the Federation as a threat to their own power. This was the challenge President Moon had expected. The galaxy was bigger than Council space, and not everyone would welcome freedom and equality. Then we prepare to defend what we've built, Lim said. But we do it the human way. We don't attack first, we don't conquer for conquest's sake. We protect those who can't protect themselves. The confrontation came sooner than expected. The hegemony, a militaristic empire that enslaved entire star systems, decided to test the new Federation's resolve. They attacked a former Council world that had just joined the Federation. General Park's response was swift and decisive. The Liberation Fleet arrived in the attack system within hours, but instead of simply driving off the hegemony forces, they did something unexpected. Hegemony Fleet, this is General Park So-Young of the Galactic Liberation Forces. She broadcast on all frequencies. You have attacked a Federation member world, but we offer you a choice. The hegemony commander was puzzled. What choice? Join us. Your people don't have to live under tyranny either. We can help you build a better society, just as we helped build the Federation. It was a radical approach. Instead of just defeating enemies, the Federation offered to liberate them too. Some hegemony ships accepted the offer immediately. Their crews had been forced to serve, and they welcomed the chance for freedom. Others fought and were defeated. A few escaped to carry word back to their empire. The pattern repeated across the galaxy. The Federation grew not just through victory in battle, but through conversion of former enemies. Species that had been oppressors found they could become liberators instead. Councillor Veltar made his final stand on Zentros Prime, the ancient council capital. He had gathered the last loyal forces of the old regime, 30,000 ships and the military leaders who refused to accept the new order. Admiral Park Woo-jin commanded the fleet that surrounded Zentros Prime. He had come full circle from the suspicious officer who first questioned the council's upgrades to the leader of the force that would end their rule forever. Veltar, Park broadcast to the planet, this is your last chance. Surrender now, and your people will be treated fairly. Under Federation law, Veltar's response was predictable. Never. The Council has ruled for 10,000 years. We will not bow to primitive humans and their alien pets. The Battle of Zentros Prime was the largest space battle in galactic history. 30,000 Council loyalists against 50,000 Federation ships, but it was also the most one-sided. The Council forces fought with old tactics and sabotage technology. The Federation fleet combined human innovation with the knowledge of dozens of species. When the battle ended, Veltar's forces were destroyed or captured, but the Federation's greatest victory came after the battle. Instead of occupying Zentros Prime, they helped the planet establish its own democratic government. Former Council species were invited to join the Federation as equals, not as conquered subjects. 6 months later, Ambassador Kim Woo-sung stood before the first Galactic Federation Assembly. Representatives from 847 species filled the Great Hall. At the front, a simple banner displayed the Federation motto in hundreds of languages: Unity through freedom. Today, Kim announced, we establish something new in galactic history. Not an empire built on conquest, but a federation built on cooperation. Not rule by the strong over the weak, but partnership between equals. President Moon watched from Earth as the ceremony was broadcast across the galaxy. Her decision to reject the path of conquest had led to this moment. Humanity had saved the galaxy not by ruling it, but by teaching it to rule itself. Admiral Park, now retired, stood on the observation deck of his old flagship. Through the windows he could see ships from hundreds of species working together on a massive construction project, the first Federation exploration fleet that would carry their message of freedom to other galaxies. Sir, Captain Lee Dong-ho, approached him. Lee now commanded the flagship and would lead the exploration mission. We're ready for departure. Fleet Admiral Lim Tae-ho watched the Council Armada approach through his flagship's main screen. 8,000 alien ships filled the space around the demonstration zone, their weapons powered and ready. Representatives from 40 species waited. in observation ships to witness humanity's humiliation. Lim had been promoted just hours before the battle. Admiral Park was leading the secret defense of the colonies, leaving Lim to command the demonstration fleet. His job was to look weak while being strong, to appear helpless while setting the trap that would destroy the Council's power forever. "Admiral, the Council is hailing us," reported his communications officer. "Put them through." Counselor Veltar's reptilian face filled the screen. His yellow eyes gleamed with anticipated victory. "Admiral Lim, you may begin the exercise. Show our guest how your upgraded fleet performs in combat situations." "Understood, Counselor. Beginning combat maneuvers now." Lim cut the connection and turned to his crew. These were humans who knew they might die in the next hour. But their faces showed only determination. "All ships begin Phase 1, Lim ordered. "Make it look good." Across the human fleet, captain after captain received the order. Their ships began what looked like standard combat formations, but the movements seemed clumsy and slow. Weapons fired at practice targets and missed. Shield generators flickered on and off randomly. Engine exhausts sputtered with uneven power. The watching alien representatives murmured among themselves. The humans looked even worse than expected. On the Council command ship, Veltar smiled his threatening smile. "Perfect. Signal the recording stations. I want every species in the galaxy to see this." But 90 light-years away, Admiral Park was watching a different kind of performance. Council ships had surrounded the human colony of New Sol. Their commanders were demanding surrender, confident that the main human fleet was trapped at the demonstration. "Sir, the Council commander is hailing us," reported Captain No Kyung-soo from his fighter cockpit. "Put him through," Park ordered. An arrogant Zenthari voice filled the comm channel. "Human vessels, you are outmatched. Your fleet is damaged and far away. Surrender now and your colony will not be harmed." Park activated his response transmitter. "This is Admiral Park Woo-jin of the Human Defense Fleet. You are in violation of galactic law. Leave our space immediately." The Zenthari commander laughed. "You have 40 broken ships, Admiral. We have 1,500. Your weapons cannot harm us. Your shields cannot protect you. Surrender, or we will take your colony by force." Park looked around his bridge. His crew waited for orders, their faces calm despite the impossible odds. "Signal all ships. Execute Phase 2. What happened next would be remembered as the moment everything changed in the galaxy. The human ships that had appeared damaged and helpless suddenly came alive with power. Their weapon systems activated with energy levels the Council had never seen before. Their shields flared with protective force that made space itself shimmer. Dr. Shin Bo-ra's secret projects revealed themselves all at once. The weapons she had developed in hidden laboratories fired beams of pure energy that cut through Council shields like paper. The adaptive armor she had designed shifted and flowed, spreading the impact of enemy shots across entire ship hulls. Captain No led the first attack in his experimental fighter. His ship moved like lightning, dodging between massive Council battleships and striking at their weak points. Behind him came 200 more fighters, each one piloted by humans who had trained in secret for this moment. The Council ships tried to respond, but their tactics were designed for fighting normal enemies. They had never faced opponents who could predict their movements, who could adapt their defenses in real time, who could coordinate attacks through quantum-encrypted communications that couldn't be jammed. "Impossible!" the Zenthari commander screamed as his flagship's shields collapsed under focused human fire. "Your ships are damaged. Your weapons are weak." "You should have studied us better," Park replied calmly. Then he gave the order that ended the Battle of New Sol. "All ships, full power. Show them what human engineering can really do." The space around New Sol erupted in light as human weapons fired at full capacity. Ships that the Council thought were barely functional revealed themselves as the most advanced warcraft in the galaxy. In 20 minutes, 1,500 Council ships were destroyed, captured, or fleeing in panic. Similar scenes played out at New Busan and New Daegu. Council commanders who expected easy victories found themselves facing nightmares of human ingenuity and determination. But the greatest surprise was still to come at the demonstration zone. Fleet Admiral Lim watched his tactical display as reports came in from the colony battles. All 3 attacks had been crushed. Now it was time to spring the final trap. "Engineer Yoon, are you ready?" he asked. Yoon's voice came from the ship's technical center. "Virus is loaded and ready for transmission, sir. All volunteer ships are in position." The volunteer ships were the most dangerous part of the plan. These were the most heavily poisoned vessels in the fleet, the ones most vulnerable to Council control. Their crews had volunteered to carry Yoon's virus directly into the heart of the Council network, knowing they might not survive the experience. "All ships begin Phase 3, Lim ordered. "Let's give the Council a demonstration they'll never forget." The human ships suddenly stopped their clumsy maneuvers and formed perfect attack formations. Their weapons powered up to full charge. Their engines burned with clean, brilliant light. Counselor Veltar stared at his tactical display in shock. "What is happening? The humans were damaged. Their ships were failing." His tactical officer's voice was shaking. "Sir, I'm reading massive power increases across the human fleet. Their weapon signatures they're unlike anything in our databases." "Activate the control codes," Veltar screamed. "Shut down their ships." This was the moment Yoon had prepared for. As soon as the Council sent the shutdown signals to the human ships, her virus rode those same signals back into the Council network. Within seconds, it was spreading through every Council ship in the system. The virus was elegant and deadly. It made Council ships think they were being targeted by their own allies. Safety systems automatically shut down weapons to prevent friendly fire. Navigation computers became confused about which ships were enemies and which were friends. Across the Council fleet, chaos erupted. Ships that had been advancing in perfect formation suddenly stopped and scattered. Weapon systems went offline. Communication networks collapsed as the virus spread from ship to ship. "Sir," Veltar's communications officer called out in panic. "We're receiving surrender requests from our own ships. They think we're attacking them." But the humans weren't done. As the Council fleet fell into confusion, Admiral Lim revealed the final surprise. "All ships activate Phantom protocols," he ordered. Suddenly, the space around the human fleet filled with new contacts. Ships appeared on every sensor, surrounding the Council forces, with what looked like a massive human armada. The Phantoms were holograms, projected by hidden generators that Dr. Shin's teams had been building for months. They looked real on every scanner the Council had. To the confused alien ships, it appeared that they were surrounded by thousands of human vessels. Captain Lee Dong-ho, commanding one of the real ships in the fleet, watched the Council forces panic. "Admiral, they're requesting permission to surrender." Lim looked at the tactical display. 8,000 Council ships, the pride of their military, were helplessly drifting in space. Their own safety systems had betrayed them. Their sensors showed impossible numbers of enemy vessels. Their commanders didn't know what was real anymore. "Open a channel to all Council ships," Lim ordered. His voice reached every alien vessel in the system. "This is Fleet Admiral Lim Tae-ho of the Human Defense Fleet. You came here to demonstrate our weakness. Instead, you have demonstrated your own. Your fleets are disabled. Your colonies are undefended. Your people are at our mercy." In the observation ships, representatives from 40 species watched in stunned silence. The humans they had expected to see destroyed were instead victorious. The Council forces they had thought invincible were defeated. However, Lim continued, "Humanity does not seek conquest. We seek justice. You will withdraw from our space. You will remove your sabotage from every ship in the galaxy. You will free every species you have enslaved through deception. Do this, and your ships will be allowed to leave." Counselor Veltar's voice was shaking when he responded. You cannot have defeated us. This is impossible." "The impossible is just another word for something you didn't think of," Lim replied. "You underestimated us because we're young. You thought you could trick us because we're trusting. You believed you could defeat us because we're outnumbered." Lim paused, looking out at the disabled Council fleet. "You forgot that we're human. We adapt. We overcome. And we never, ever give up. The battle of the demonstration zone was over. The Council's power was broken. And across the galaxy, enslaved species were receiving a message that changed everything. This is the human defense. Fleet, you are no longer alone. The age of Council tyranny is over. The galaxy would never be the same. Commander Choi Min-seok read the secret message 3 times before he believed it. His spy network had friends everywhere in the galaxy. Most were from species that didn't like the Council but had to pretend they did. This message came from a Vorthan engineer who worked on Council ships. The message was short but scary. They did it to us too. Same upgrades. Our fleet died when we needed it most. Council saved us. Now we serve them forever. Be careful, humans. Choi destroyed the message and walked quickly to Admiral Park's ship. They needed to talk now. On the medical deck, Dr. Kim Nari was doing something that could get her killed. She was cutting open a control chip from one of the upgraded human ships. The ship's captain had pretended his ship broke down and came back to base. Now Kim was trying to understand what the Council had put inside their computers. The chip was small, but complex. Under her microscope, she could see thousands of tiny circuits. Most looked normal, but some were different. They connected to parts of the ship's brain that controlled weapons and shields. Interesting, she whispered to herself. Engineer Yoon Hye-jin worked next to her. She was looking at the ship's main computer code, lines and lines of instructions that told the ship how to work. Most of it was normal human code, but there were new parts, hidden parts. Doctor, look at this, Yoon said. Kim looked at Yoon's screen. The new code was clever. It hid inside normal ship functions. When the ship was flying normally, nothing happened. But if the ship tried to fire weapons in battle, the hidden code could take control. It's like a sleeping poison, Kim said. It waits until the worst moment, then kills you. They worked for 6 hours. Slowly, they understood the Council's plan. The upgrades put secret controls in every important ship system. Someone far away could turn off human weapons, shields, or engines. They could make human ships helpless in the middle of battle. Can we remove it? Kim asked. Yoon looked worried. It's built into everything, like cancer growing through the ship's body. If I cut it out wrong, the ship will die. What if we don't remove it? Can we fool it somehow? Yoon thought for a moment. Maybe. If we build a second brain for the ship, let the poisoned brain think it's in control. But the real decisions come from the hidden brain. It was a smart idea, but very dangerous. If the Council found out, they would know humans discovered their plan. Meanwhile, Commander Choi was meeting with Admiral Park in his secret office. Sir, my sources confirm Dr. Kim's fears, Choi said. The Council has done this before. Many times. He showed Park a list of species that had gotten Council upgrades. Next to each name was what happened to them later. The Kethran Empire got upgrades 50 years ago. 2 years later, their fleet couldn't defend against space pirates. The Council had to help. Now Council governors run half their worlds. Park read the list. Each story was the same. Strong species got upgrades. Then their fleets failed when they needed them most. Then the Council saved them and took control. How many species know the truth? Park asked. More than the Council thinks. But they're all too weak to fight now. Their fleets are broken. Their governments depend on Council help. What about species that refuse the upgrades? Choi's face got dark. 3 species said no in the last 100 years. Space pirates attacked them. Plagues killed their crops. Accidents happened to their leaders. Eventually, they begged the Council for help. Park understood. The Council makes the problems, then sells the solutions. Yes, sir. And now it's our turn. That evening, Colonel Kang Jae-sung brought more bad news. His intelligence teams watched. Council movements near human space. What they saw was frightening. Admiral Council fleets are moving toward our borders. They say it's for training exercises. But I count over 300 ships. Where exactly? Park asked. Near our 3 biggest colonies, New Seoul, New Busan, and New Daegu. The colonies with our best shipyards and biggest populations. Park felt ice in his stomach. They're getting ready to occupy us. It looks that way, sir. My teams also report unusual activity on Council communications. Lots of coded messages. More than normal. Park made a decision. Colonel, I want you to secretly prepare our defenses, but make it look like normal training. Can you do that? Yes, sir. My Marines are already asking questions about all the Council activity. They know something is wrong. The next week brought the first upgraded ships back to the fleet. The captains reported problems immediately. Weapons that fired slower than before. Shields that flickered during tests. Engines that made strange noises. Captain Lee Dong-ho's ship was one of the first back. He met with Park privately. Admiral, my ship feels sick, Lee said. Everything works, but not quite right. Like the ship is thinking too slowly. Can you still fight? Park asked. Yes, but not as well as before. If we faced the same pirate fleet we beat last month, it would be much harder now. Park nodded. This matched what Dr. Kim and Engineer Yoon had found. The upgrades made ships weaker, not stronger. Captain, I need you to do something difficult. Pretend the problems are getting worse. Act confused and worried. Make the Council think their plan is working. Lee looked surprised, then understanding showed in his eyes. You know what they're really doing. Yes, and we're going to stop them. But first we need them to believe they're winning. Over the next few days, more upgraded ships came back. Each captain got the same orders. Act worried, report problems. Make the Council think human ships were getting weaker. But secretly, Park was preparing for war. He moved his best ships to hidden bases in empty star systems. He ordered extra weapons and supplies. He told his captains to train harder but quietly. Dr. Kim worked day and night to find a way to fix the sabotaged ships. Engineer Yoon tried dozens of ideas. Most didn't work. Some made things worse. But slowly, they learned. The breakthrough came when they realized they didn't need to remove the poison. They just needed to work around it. Yoon built new control systems that hid inside the ship's normal functions. When the Council's poison tried to take control, it would find fake systems to control while the real systems kept working. It's like magic, Kim said, watching Yoon test the new system. The poison thinks it's winning, but it's fighting shadows. Testing the fix was scary. They had to do it on a real ship with real crew. If something went wrong, people could die. Captain Oh Sung-woo volunteered his scout ship for the first test. His crew was small and experienced. If anyone could handle problems, they could. The test happened far from any Council ships. Oh's crew pretended to run normal training exercises while Yoon activated her hidden systems. Weapons test, Oh ordered. His weapons officer fired at a practice target. The shot was perfect, better than before the upgrades. Shields test, Oh ordered. Theory, shields came up strong and steady. No flickering. Engine test, Oh ordered. The ship moved smoothly and fast. The strange noises were gone. Yoon's system worked. The Council's poison was still there, but it couldn't hurt the ship anymore. But they faced a new problem. How could they fix their whole fleet without the Council noticing? Ambassador Yang Soo-bin gave them the answer. She called from the Council station with interesting news. Admiral, the Council is very happy with how the upgrades are working. They see that human ships are having problems. Counselor Veltar says humans need more help learning to use the new systems. What kind of help? Park asked, though he suspected he knew. They want to send Council technical teams to our ships to help us understand the upgrades better. Park almost smiled. The Council was walking deeper into their own trap. Tell them we would be grateful for their help, he said. But our crews are embarrassed about the problems. Maybe the Council teams could work on our ships at their bases instead of ours? Yang understood immediately. I'll suggest that. It would give our crews privacy to learn the new systems. When Yang signed off, Park called his senior officers. They're taking our bait, he told them. Now we spring our trap. The plan was simple but dangerous. They would send their poisoned ships to Council bases for help. While Council technicians worked on the ships, human engineers would secretly install Yoon's hidden systems. The Council would think they were making human ships even more helpless, Really, they would be making them stronger. What if they catch us? Colonel Kang asked. Then we fight with what we have, Park said. But I don't think they will. They're so sure they're winning, they won't look for tricks. Dr. Kim had been quiet during the meeting. Finally, she spoke. Admiral, my alien friends are reporting something new. The Council is talking about a grand demonstration, a show of force to convince other species to accept upgrades voluntarily. What kind of demonstration? Park asked. They want to invite representatives from every species to watch human ships fail during a training exercise. Then Council ships will save us. It will prove that species need Council protection. Park felt anger burn in his chest. The Council wanted to humiliate humanity in front of the whole galaxy. When? He asked. 3 months from now. They're calling it the Galactic Unity exercise. Park looked around the room at his officers. Each face showed determination. Then we have 3 months to get ready, he said. 3 months to turn their trap into ours. As his officers left to prepare, Park stood alone in his office. Through his window, he could see human ships moving through space. Some carried the Council's poison. Others were clean and hidden.